Our minister this morning is Reverend Jim Eller. Our musicians are Annye Love and the UU Sing-Along Connection. Yeah, exactly. Our story will be provided by Greg Winnie. After the service, please join us in the social room for refreshments and conversation. A huge thank you to Donna Sinnis. She's the one who brought the t-shirts. I've got an announcement later, actually, now that I think about the slides, about the t-shirts being here. And there they are. The UU logo t-shirts ordered in June have arrived. And if you ordered a t-shirt, you can find it on the small table at the entrance of the social room. At 12:30 today, please join me here in the sanctuary for a forum on use of intellectual property by UU churches, in particular this church. I'll share what I've learned about copyrights as they relate to churches and how they impact a value-centered use of intellectual property. The board is scheduled to meet this Tuesday, July 14th at 6:30. The agenda is posted to the bulletin board in the social room. The games group meets on the third Thursday of the month, so they're scheduled to meet this Thursday, July 16th at 7 p.m. in the church social room. They play games of various sorts until approximately 9, and for more information on that, contact Joe Melnick. Next Sunday's sermon will be provided by Reverend Susan Ross. Her sermon title will be To Be and To Not Be. As she mentioned in the July newsletter, exploring the miracle and mystery of both. Next Sunday is our traditional monthly after-church potluck, so keep that in mind as you do your meal planning this week. We are invited to the Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremonies honoring Caleb Bell and Evelyn Bell on Saturday, August 8th at 3 p.m. It'll be in Edmond at the Westwood Church of Christ, and those planning to attend should RSVP by August 1st. The flyer is in the social room with all the details. In May, the congregation approved the budget that we've just started operating under. That budget includes the pledges people made in March, which is by far the largest portion of our income budget. I know some people mentioned that they increased their pledge amount, so those March pledges start this month in July. Another income commitment we approved is raising $3,335 between now and June 30th through fundraising events. So, mark your calendar. John and Lynn Little are hosting a pool party fundraiser at their home on Saturday, August 15th from 4 to 7. It's a come and go event with mealtime about 5:30. It's $20 per person, which includes drinks with the meal, and pool time. BYOC, meaning bring your own chair. There will be a sign-up sheet in the social room. If you have an announcement, please come up and use the microphone.
That Mavana's daughter Jamie has a doctor appointment in Edmond on Monday at 2 o'clock. Is there someone who could take her?
What day was it?
Tomorrow. Monday?
I'd rather go myself.
Okay, thank you. She can go herself. She's very nervous about driving.
Okay. Lynn?
Hi, my name is Lynn Little, and I have agreed to chair the Buildings and Grounds Committee for this next fiscal year. So right now, the members are me, my husband, and Donna Sinnis. But I need at least one more, probably male, or, yeah. Where do I go with that? How about
I think that's what she's leaning towards. Yeah.
Anyway, I just need at least one other person who can commit, because this year, we're not just gonna let things happen and then respond. We're gonna be proactive, and that means I need people that are committed, that I can call and say, hey, I need you to, if you can, to come at this time and do this amount of work for this long. It's gonna be an active committee, so if you will step up for that, let me know, and I'll be really nice, but I will be delegating. Thank you.
Delegating, that's a good idea.
Sometimes that's called voluntold. If anyone's interested in learning to play bridge or hasn't played in a long time and would like to do so, come see me.
Thank you, Hillary. Other announcements? Nobody wants me on their bridge team. Yeah, well, I do. I see no other announcements, so I think we're ready for our prelude.
Let me just get back here. While we're setting up, this is our first sing-along connection thing. So we're going to get together once a month. Anybody that wants to come and sing with us, Saturday evening probably, we're going to practice and then we're going to do this here. We would love to have your participation in this. Think campfire, sing around, right? The words are actually in your hymnal, but just the words are up there. That's all you're going to need. It's number 1069 in the teal hymnal. So just sing along with us. It'll be probably self-evident. Just join in when you want to.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother,
We gather in the light of truth and in the warmth of community to sustain our search for the right and the true. Here we need not believe alike to love alike, says our theologian Tahlequah. Here each of us is free to believe as conscience and integrity demand of us. Our association says that we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the free and responsible search for truth and meaning and the rights of conscience. Today we gather in worship, working to discern the right and the true and to strengthen our sense of self and integrity and to delight in beauty and the wonder of life itself. That said, I invite you to join me now in our opening hymn, which is number 38, Morning is Broken, in our gray hymnal. Please stand as you're able and join in singing.
Maybe that's, oh, yep, that's definitely there. Good morning. So the title of the story I'm going to be reading is Coyote Brings Water from the Frog People. And it's part of the native oral tradition featuring coyote legends, as I'm sure we've all kind of heard about. This one particular comes from the Tahlequah people of Western Oregon. I'm going to try to recite this without any paper to try to stick to the nature and spirit of native oral tradition. So forgive my many hesitations I'm probably going to have. All right, so one morning, Coyote was walking down the beach towards where the great river emptied into the ocean. And as he approached this area, Coyote noticed there was something off. The great river was empty, merely just a trickle of a stream running into the ocean where it was once this great rolling plain of water. All of a sudden, Coyote heard a voice coming from the ocean. It said, "Hello, Coyote. How are you doing?" Coyote turns, and he sees Old Man Salmon coming up out of the sea. And he notices Old Man Salmon's face is looking very rough. His scales are falling off. His skin looks like it's melting off of him. And Coyote says, "Well, good morning, Old Man Salmon. You've seen better days. Like, you're looking very rough." And Old Man Salmon looks at him solemnly and he's like, yes, this is the time of the season where me and my people, we make our journey up the river to our spawning grounds. And as you can see, we cannot accomplish this task. The river is gone. The frog people have been greedy and dammed up the river and taken all the water from us. And I'm afraid that if we are not able to make this journey, this will be the end of our people. So Coyote, he is torn to pieces by this, and he says, I must seek great wisdom on how to correct this and fix this for your people. And so he goes to the one place where he always goes when he needs advice, his tail. He lays down in the sand, curls up in a ball, and lays his tail over his head and says, oh, great wise Coyote tail, I need your advice. And Old Man Salmon, standing there, sees this and is like, Coyote, this is not the time for you to take a nap and murmur to yourself. This is serious. And Coyote just raises his head up out from under his tail and says, it's a process. Trust the process. So Coyote goes back to his tail and he whispers great advice to him. And Coyote jumps up and says, that's genius, that's brilliant. And runs over to a part of the beach and digs down until he finds some old seal bones. And he begins to gnaw on these bones and forms them into the shape of a shell that the great frog people cherish above all else. And he spends hours polishing it until it's gleaming in the sun. And Coyote then makes his journey up the stream. And along his way, he finds and comes across many creatures and animals of the forest that are looking like they're starving, they're thirsty, they're very disheveled. So he doubles his pace, and soon he comes upon this great mighty dam in front of him. It's made of sticks and logs and mud, and he climbs up to the top, and he finds the elder of the frog people, and he presents them with a shell, and says, "Oh, elder, I have traveled from far away, and I am very thirsty. I will trade you this beautiful shell if I can take a drink from your pond." And the elder of the frog people is more than happy to oblige. And so Coyote dives into the deepest part of the pond right behind the dam and swims to the bottom. And on his way down, he starts gulping in and drinking as much water as he can. And he gets to the bottom and he starts kicking and tearing away the logs and the mud. And soon a breach forms and Coyote scrambles up out of the water before it just completely gives way. And he's as full as a tick and swollen and engorged from all the water he's taken in. And he waddles over to a crevice in the rocks. And he then expels all of this water that he's taken in, forming a new pond. And obviously, the elder of the frog people is very upset with what Coyote has just done. And he was like, "You've ruined and destroyed our home and dam." And Coyote says, "Well, what might be right for you is not right for others. And I have created you a new pond. It is not as nice and big and glorious as your old pond, but it is your pond." And Coyote catches a log as it's screaming down the new flooding river and rides it all the way back down to the ocean. And Old Man Salmon, upon seeing his return, jumps out of the water with joy and invites Coyote to feast with them. And at the end, he is swollen and engorged again, this time on food, not water. But yeah, that's the end of it. And so I really like Trickster. Like Coyote, he's a trickster. And the trickster legend or spirit or entity or whatever is repeated all throughout the world through multiple cultures. I mean, you have Loki in the Norse, Anansi the spider in Africa, the Kitsune in Japan, and I just find it very interesting that humanity all over the globe through all these cultures has developed that trickster rogue spirit. And Coyote, he runs such a wide range of morality. He's very ambiguous. Sometimes he is just a pure spirit of chaos and a menace. And then in other times he does things to help people out. And particularly when it comes to his tail giving him wisdom. So another parallel to that is the kitsune in Japan. When it's born, it's just a small red fox and it has one tail. But for every 100 years it lives, it grows a new tail. And it grows wiser. And by the time it's 1,000 years old, it has its full 9 tails and it turns into this glowing silver creature. And it's said that it gains full omniscience and like wisdom and knowledge at this point. So I thought that was interesting, those parallels between. Anyways.
In part, the purpose of worship is to give context for our lives, our living and our dying, to help us discern right and wrong, to deepen our appreciation for the moment. And so I have two poems with that in mind, to give context to our service. The first is by Wendell Berry, one of my favorite poets. Within the circles of our lives we dance, the circles of the years, the circles of the seasons. Within the circles of the years and the cycles of the moon, within the cycles of the seasons, the circles of our reasons within the cycles of the moon. And again we come and go, changed and changing, hands joined in love and fear, grief and joy. The circles turn, each giving into each, into all. Our music, the music of our lives, keeps us here, and each by all are held. That's the context. We are in it together, life constantly changing. One of my dear colleagues and friends, Mark Morrison Reed, says this, which I have read at numerous memorial services because it captures the UU spirit as we confront the reality of life, our coming and going. We are all dying, our lives always moving toward completion. We need to learn to live with death and to understand that death is not the worst of all events. We need to fear not death, but empty lives, loveless lives, lives that do not build upon the gifts that each of us has been given, lives that are like living deaths, lives in which we never take the time to savor and appreciate, lives in which we never pause to breathe deeply. We need to not fear death, but the squandering of our lives that have miraculously been given to us. So let me die laughing, savoring one of life's crazy moments. Let me die holding the hand of one I love and recall that I tried to love and was loved in return. And let me die remembering that life has been good and that I did what I could. But today, remind me that I am dying so that I can live and savor and love with all of my heart.
This church exists because of your commitment of time, energy, and resources. This is the time in the service when the offering is given and gratefully received, and this month a portion of the plate is going to the Seville Center for Child Advocacy.
Okay, this is our second little sing-along. Your words, can somebody do this for me and lower it just a little bit? The words are printed in your program. Yeah, inside your program. You all know this song, so it's a sing-along, and it kind of fits with everything that's going on this morning. It's talking about connection and will the circle be unbroken? You all know it. These are different words than the one you're used to. And I have a whole different appreciation for this song after I listened to the words.
There are loved ones in the glory whose dear forms you often miss.
Keep going.
When you close your earthly story, will you join them in your bliss? Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky, in the joyous days of childhood. Oft they told of wondrous love, pointed to the dying Savior. Now they dwell with him above. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky. You remember songs of heaven which you sang with childish voice. Do you love the hymns they taught you, or the songs of earth your choice? Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky. You can picture happy gatherings round the fires of long ago, and you think of tearful partings when they left you here below. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky. One by one their seats were empty, one by one they went away. Now the family is parted. Will it be complete one day? Last time. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky, in the sky, in the sky.
There you go. Woo-hoo. Nice job, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Unitarian Universalists, we tend to be people of choice, of integrity. We like to have a way of choosing, and we have our own way sometimes, and sometimes we don't. But we are people who like to choose. In the 70s, I did a lot of, work in small groups, and we did values clarification exercises. workshops and that thing, and you would stretch people out on a line and say, if you believe this on this end, you stand, and if you believe that on that end, you stand. And generally, you put a box in the middle so they couldn't be, I'm in the middle on this one. No, you got to be one way or the other. I'm wanting us to consider doing some values clarification here in a moment. I don't want you to stand on a line continuum, but I want you, if you agree, you put your hand up. If you strongly agree and you're up to it, you can stand. If you disagree, you can go thumbs down. If you strongly disagree, it's double thumbs down. You can leave. and you can all, free pulpit, free pew, you're always free to leave. Do you believe that the state has the right to protect its citizens by requiring seat belts in cars? Agree, disagree? Okay, thank you. Do you believe that it's okay for the state to require motorcycle riders to wear helmets? All right. Do you believe that premarital sexuality is acceptable? Do you believe that a woman has the right to choose how to manage her own body, including the right to terminate pregnancy? Hallelujah. Do you believe that medical marijuana should be legalized? Okay. Do you believe in an afterlife? Yeah, okay. Do you believe that a person has the right to refuse medical treatment? Okay. Do you believe that a person who is terminally ill and in pain should have the right to end their own lives? There we go. Well, apparently I'm preaching to the choir, folks. Unitarian Universalists believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person and in the right of each of us to act as conscience and integrity demand of us. We don't agree, all of us, about the nature of ultimate reality or God or the mystery of existence. We don't all agree on the nature of an afterlife or what happens after we die. We don't all agree on a lot of issues, but we choose to love alike. And we encourage each other in the process of our discernment about what's right for us. And we encourage other people to choose what's right for them. Where it sometimes hits the road and gets a little more difficult is when other people decide that they know more than we know about what's right for us and try to limit our choices. I say, if you don't believe in abortion, don't have one. If you don't believe in assisted suicide for people who are terminally ill, don't practice it individually. But why limit it for others? This emphasis on choice and choice around end of life brought the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Portland, Oregon in the 1990s to help create the Hemlock Society, which later became known as the Organization for Compassionate Choice. In the 1990s, their minister, Alan Deal, gathered some of the key leaders in that congregation and worked to pass in Oregon the Right to Die law, which passed in 1997. Following the inspiration of that congregation and their incredible leadership on this issue, the Seattle UU Church, University Unitarian Universalist Church, under the leadership of Reverend Ralph Merrow, then started working to pass similar legislation, which passed in 2008 in the state of Washington. The presumption is that if you're terminally ill, you shouldn't be forced to suffer needlessly. Thousands of people now have chosen to take medication to end their lives when they were terminally ill and in pain. 80% of those people who were offered that opportunity took it. However, the 20% who didn't said, knowing that I could, made it much easier to manage the pain and the reality of knowing that I was terminal because I could exit and I didn't have to. And so it gave hope and compassion to those who were suffering. Another presumption is there is such a thing as a good death. Now, we may define it differently. Some people have told me, well, boy, I know what a good death is. I die in my sleep and I don't see it coming and there's no suffering and I'm gone. That's a good death. I, in absolute contradiction to that, agree with Zorba the Greek. I want to be on the window. Bring on that damn catastrophe. I want to see every second of it coming and all the way through it until it's gone. Other people would define a good death as being surrounded by one's loved ones and loved into the last moments of their life as they in turn love those around them. A good death. There are people who think that life should not be shortened, who don't want their life under any circumstances shortened. And there are those people who believe that every moment of life is a gift from God, and to take any of those gifts away is to take away God's right and the way the world is supposed to be, and they want to outlaw anyone who wants to limit life. And they have their point of view. The other way in which this sometimes gets parsed is around the nature of suffering. So, suffering isn't fun, folks. Suffering is not fun. And there are some people who say that suffering is redemptive, and therefore when a person is suffering, it should not be taken away from them, because suffering will somehow create greater senses of meaning or somehow be redemptive. I think that suffering, when it's chosen and sacrificial, can be redemptive, and it's generally after it's over that we make meaning out of it that it then becomes redemptive, and seldom in the midst of the horror of it is it so. But to think of suffering as somehow itself, in and of itself, as a good or as redemptive is a theological misturn. One of the other resistances to this right to die legislation and thinking is about the fear that it will disproportionately fall to people who are poor, disabled, or people of color, or the other disenfranchised groups within our culture that tend to be harmed or relegated or neglected, and they would also be so in death. However, that's not what the research turns out to indicate. In Oregon and Washington, that have had right to die laws the longest, there has been no increase in the number beyond the average population number of people who are terminally ill for those who are disabled or people of color or other disenfranchised groups. There was not an increase. So that fear was dispelled. I do believe that there is such a thing as a good death. Oh, God. One of the... Well, it's hard. It's hard. 40 years in parish ministry and 10 years in chaplaincy, it's not like I haven't been there. And some of them have been so profound and so moving. The most intimate moments of my life have been to be at the birth of my nieces, or the death of my parents, or death of loved ones. To be with them in their last breath. The first president of my congregation, when I was in Kansas City, was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. He was in hospice, he was in failing health, and the family was concerned that he was suffering although he was unconscious. Well, why is he not dying? He's lingering. And so I said, well then, let's create a circle of care around him and tell him how much he was loved. And then one of his sons said, well, he knows he was loved. He was the CEO of a mid to large size law firm in Kansas City, its principal owner. He was used to being in charge of things, and his son said, I know that he's laying there thinking of all the things if he dies that won't get taken care of. And so I said, okay, what I wanted us to do, and all of his extended family was there, I want each one of you to tell him something about him that you loved, and tell him one thing you know that he will be concerned about it being taken care of, and what's being done to take care of it. And so they each talked about the things that they knew might be holding him, that might keep him lingering. And when the last person spoke, he took a breath and died. Treasured moment, treasured moment. Are there good deaths? Oh God, there are lovely deaths. Like the time that Mark, who was dying of AIDS, was in his last hours, and all of the people who cared about him gathered around him and started singing. He's a Methodist. Methodists like to sing hymns. Hell, you all sing good, but they even sing better, And so all of his close friends were around him, singing hymns, and then praying for him, and then laying on their hands and saying, we so love you. And in that moment, gone. As intimate and profound as it could be. And there are, unfortunately, however, bad deaths. Being at the hospital and having the nurses say to me, the person in ICU is probably brain dead, but the doctor refuses to test them, and the family keeps being told that the person has every reason to hope that they'll survive while the feet are becoming gangrenous. It was a nightmare show, a bad death. And then there are the bad deaths of people who are, the bodies are there, but their minds are gone until they're no longer there. And sometimes their deaths and the end of their lives are horrific. One of my favorite movies, and I generally see a movie once and don't see it another time. That once is enough almost on all movies, except for Still Alice, which is about a woman who is diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. She is a PhD from Columbia, or UCLA, I forget which, and she's an internationally renowned intellect in her mid-50s who suddenly is losing her mind, and more she's less and less of who she was. And she goes on her computer and she writes to herself, when you can no longer remember the names of your children, when you can no longer remember, and she lists several things, and when you can't remember those things, take these pills, which were sufficient to end her life. And you watch the movie and it gets farther and further along, and she gets to the point she reads it and she can't remember those things. And she picks up the pills. She can't remember why she's supposed to take them and spills them and says, oh, well, what the hell, I don't remember what they're for, and throws them away. My mother lived to be 92 years old. And when she was 80, she began to have transient ischemic attacks, TIAs, mini strokes. And she went from being a Stanford graduate master's program, brilliant academic leader in the education field in the West Coast, to being a person who was less and less with it with each passing month. And she used to say, a mind's a terrible thing to lose. I wouldn't try it if I were you, she says, ha, ha, ha. And she could remember who she was, and she could tell who she was becoming, and she could laugh at it because what else was she going to do? And then she couldn't remember who she had been. And then she talked more and more in metaphor and was less and less herself. As she was going down that trajectory, she said, if I could just take a pill, I would. But right to death laws had not yet been passed in California. And then she could no longer Like Alice, she could no longer remember that she had a plan because she didn't have a plan. And it went and it went and it went until she had a fairly profound stroke, and a week later she was gone. But most of the last 3 or 4 years of her life, I was praying for her release. Just let her go. I prefer the story of my father's death. A lifelong UU, a strong humanist in the very best sense of that word, a person of incredible will and absolute discernment around right and wrong. And anyway, that's the kind of man he was. And at 70, he had his first heart attack. And at 75, another one. And at 80, another one. At 85, he had a complete cardiac arrest. And through a series of incredible, miraculous, momentary interventions, he was revived and survived. He said, you know, I didn't want to be revived. I had a DNR. I do not resuscitate. And if you revive me again, I will haunt you for the rest of your lives. When he was just about to turn 90, I was with him. When he and I went to his cardiologist, who said to him, you know, you're retaining fluids, you're in cardiac failure, you probably have 3 to 4 months to live. I might take you in and out of the hospital and prop you up and might keep you alive for another 9 months of it being rather nightmarish in and out of the hospital. Or I can sign you up for hospice. And my dad said, hospice. I'll do hospice. And so he signs up for hospice, and he calls me 2 weeks later and he said, I signed up for hospice. Why am I still here? Their job is to increase the quality of your life, not end your life. And he said, I have enormous pain from chronic arthritis. I live in constant pain. If I sleep 2 hours in a night, it's a good night. I am so done with being in pain. I want out. And I said, well, if we over-medicate you, it'll be called murder. If you over-medicate yourself, it'll be called suicide. And so the family wrote him a letter on, he was an engineer and he wanted a roadmap. He wanted a plan. So we wrote him the plan. We said, will you just stop eating? And they'll say, well, he lost interest. 4 days after receiving that letter, he stopped eating. He'd been a little overweight. About the 4th day, he said, you know, the first day was hard. By now, I'm no longer hungry. I'm no longer interested in eating. He lost weight. His heart was less labored. He started having a good time. He invited friends over. He went to church and had his last coffee hour, and people lined up to say goodbye to him. Really. And then it was down to his last few days, and they got tough. And then his last day was very hard. He dressed himself and bathroomed himself until the last day of his life, and he died on his terms. It was before California passed the right to die laws that are now a part of the state. And he died on his own terms, but he suffered some, and he had joy enormously. And if he could have taken a pill about halfway through, he would have, and now could. The Portland Unitarian Universalist Church wrote the laws in a committee meeting in that congregation that created the national precedent. These are our people. Choice matters. Now, California, Colorado, Delaware, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Vermont, and Oregon and Washington, D.C. all have right to die laws. Don't we wish, in my opinion, that more do? The Portland church was very much about the right of individuals to choose, so much so that they were supporters of Jack Kevorkian. Now we're going to push the envelope just a pinch further. The very first person who patient for Jack Kevorkian and assisted suicide was a member of the Portland Church, 54 years old, with midterm early onset Alzheimer's disease, and at the point she began to be truly forgetful, she wanted out and was cognizant enough to choose it, and that was Kevorkian's first patient. The question I'm asking you is, where do you draw the line? For yourself? For our culture? What circumstances do you say, that's enough, I want out and have a right to exit? I brought with me advanced directives, which says, under these if I'm terminally inpatient and in pain and have no chance of recovery, I do not choose extraordinary means. You can sign a thing that says so. If I'm just sick and I might recover, hey, don't exit me yet. I'll pass these out at the end of the service. What matters is what is important to you and how you choose. I've signed my advance directive and given copies to my doctor, to the hospital, which are in the medical files, and to my family. And different than my father, I didn't say, and if you don't do it, I'll come haunt you. I've just said, these are my wishes, and should it come to that, that's what I choose. Knowing, in conclusion, that Unitarian Universalists tend to be well-read, and if you haven't read it and want something in addition to thinking about these kinds of issues, there is no better book available than Being Mortal by Tulsa. It is phenomenal in terms of helping define what is dignity and what is the medical system and what are our choices. The choices are yours. And I hope my conversation with you has been a way of lifting them up and encouraging you to think more deeply about what it is that you do want for yourself or your loved ones who may or may not be moving toward the end of their lives. Well, that said, we are about celebrating life. And one of the things that I know about death is that it makes life more precious. Some people say, I don't want death, and I say, I wouldn't want a world without it, because it is what gives us beauty. That said, please join me in our closing hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. Please be seated. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in worship. What a beautiful day it is to be alive. What a joy it is to be in worship. For these many gifts, we give thanks this day.